morning, good afternoon, good evening. I have said on this platform that Chamisa is corrupt, incompetent, a liar, and a conman. He is not the anointed one of God or the demigod who can do no wrong that some of the people out there want to believe him. If I've said that once, I've said it 1,000 times. But that is the truth. It is important to understand that change in Zimbabwe can be brought in various ways. Political change, that is. We can hope that Zanu PF will finally realize that the de facto one-party state they have imposed on the nation is not working, and they will accept change and transform the country. But I think by the late 1990s, most people had come to the conclusion that Zanu PF will never reform itself out of office. And so that route was blocked. How are we going to change? How are we going to get the political change we desperately need? Because as long as Zanu PF remains in power, the country will remain a pariah state and sink deeper and deeper into the abyss. The decision was made in the late 1990s that we should elect opposition leaders whose number one task would be to implement the necessary democratic changes to end the Zanu PF dictatorship. I believe that was the right decision. And I still believe that was the right decision. So when Morgan Tsvangirai launched his MDC, he launched it on the promise that he would deliver the democratic changes the nation was dying for. They even named their party the Movement for Democratic Change. The question then is, why is it that after 25 years on the political stage, Zanu PF is still able to blatantly rig elections? And the reason for it is that the MDC, CCC leaders have failed to implement even one token reform, even when they had the golden opportunity to do so during the GNU of 2008 to 2013. Ever since their failure to implement reforms during the GNU, the MDC leaders have come up with an alternative that they will not implement any changes, the democratic changes that we were asking for. This time they were telling people that they can achieve the democratic changes by winning flawed elections. And so you'll find since 2013, MDC CCC have been telling people we can win rigged elections. And the people have participated in the flawed elections, believing that they can win rigged elections. This is absolutely important that people understand that. And yet, when people like myself have said Chamisa lied to the people and conned them to participate in the flawed elections, we've become public enemy number one. Because people just didn't want to believe that Chamisa is corrupt, incompetent, a liar, and a conman. Well, he is all those things. And pretending that he is not has not helped our situation at all, because he has been able to con millions of people to participate in flawed elections, only to give Zanu PF legitimacy, perpetuate the nation's suffering, while he and a few of his friends got a few gravy train seats. And that's all they cared about. Tonight, I'm glad that we're beginning to see a number of ordinary Zimbabweans coming up and pointing out exactly what I've been saying all along, that Chamisa is corrupt, incompetent, a liar, and a conman. Here is a video clip of somebody saying exactly that.
Kuna vasati vamuonera, this is just an eye opening. Parenga akapiwa, maybe akupera. That's why akutanga mastanza aya. So if you are wise, just sit down and watch. Usashandiswa. This guy is not even serious with what he is doing. Politics are kuita ndedzongofita dumbu rake.
I think it's worth playing again.
Kuna vasati vamuonera, this is just an eye opening. Parenga akapiwa, maybe akupera. That's why akutanga mastanza aya. So if you are wise, just sit down and watch. Usashandiswa. This guy is not even serious with what he is doing. Politics are kuita ndedzongofita dumbu rake.
I think it's worth underlying that fact. MDC CCC had the opportunity to implement the democratic reforms which would have stopped Zanu PF rigging the elections. They did not during the 5 years of the GNU because Robert Mugabe bribed them with the trappings of high office. That is a historic fact. And ever since the GNU, they've conned people to participate in these flawed elections out of greed. They knew Zanu PF was giving away a few gravy train seats to entice the opposition to participate. You heard it from me and a few others. Well, here is somebody else again saying the same thing. The one thing I would want underlined here is that the people of Zimbabwe should not sit and watch. Because if Chamisa is able to lie to the people of Zimbabwe and con them to participate in 2028, we will have given Zanu PF political legitimacy. And we'll have another 5 years of this Zanu PF dictatorship. This is not the time to sit back and watch. This is the time where everybody out there should say, no, we must make sure that 2028 people are not conned to participate in another flawed elections to perpetuate the dictatorship. We cannot stop Zanu PF rigging 2028. It's too late. We cannot implement any reforms between now and 2028, 3 years. And like I said, Zanu PF will never reform itself out of office. And the little opposition that is in parliament right now will never be able to push anything. But what we can do is make sure that Zanu PF does not get legitimacy in 2028. And one sure way of making sure they don't get legitimacy is to make sure that people do not participate in those flawed elections in their millions, as they did in 2023, 2018, and 2013. This message must be driven home to all Zimbabweans out there. 2028, the worst thing you can do is participate to give Zanu PF legitimacy and perpetuate the nation's suffering. Chamisa is corrupt, incompetent, a liar, and a conman. That is a historic fact. Detail matters. And sometimes it is all that matters. And in this case, we really have to pay attention to detail. Don't be conned by the liar, the corrupt and incompetent individual, Nelson Chamisa, into believing that he has somehow come up with another solution of how to win rigged elections. He's just conning you to participate in flawed elections to give Zanu PF legitimacy and perpetuate your suffering. Don't sit back, don't relax, don't wait and watch and let history repeat itself. After 45 years of rigged elections and bad governance, we need to put an end to this madness. Think about it. Thank you very much. Have a good evening.